Hello everybody, welcome to my channel, Travel with El Capolino. Special welcome to my 22 subscribers, or maybe I should say 21 because I know my wife's not going to be watching and she's one of my subscribers. So last week I uploaded a video. It was my first time ever flying in business class. And I did say during that video that I would be giving a review of that flight that I took. Shirley, get off me. You're annoying me. So that's exactly what I'm going to go and do now. I was going to just go through the whole procedure of what, kind of from start to finish of my whole kind of experience on business class. But I'm not going to do that. I think it will take too long. I'm just going to talk about the pluses and the minuses and go into detail about them. But before I do that, I want to tell you about the cost of the ticket. So I originally bought a round trip ticket from Shymkent in Kazakhstan to Delhi in India, which involved 4 flights. It was a domestic flight from Shymkent to Almaty, and then international flight from Almaty to Delhi, and coming back Delhi to Astana in Kazakhstan, and then a domestic flight from Astana to Shymkent. And I got a very, very good value ticket for good price for that. Per person, it was £180, roughly, in pounds sterling. I booked it well in advance because it's 4 flights. Very, very, very good value. And what happens with Air Astana at the moment? They've got this kind of, what can I call it? Possibility where you can upgrade your flights to business class. You have to go online on the website and you can bid, bid for an upgrade. So what I did the lowest possible bid, lowest possible bid you could do, specifically on the flight from from Delhi to Astana, because that was my longest of the 4 flights. I think it's about a 4.5-hour flight, 4 hours 35 minutes, something like that. It just seemed the best value one to do it on. So I did it, and I was upgraded. So on top of the £180 I paid for my return, my return flights from Shymkent to Delhi and back to Shymkent, the upgrade cost me £162 per person. So I'm almost paying double what I paid for my whole trip from Shymkent to Delhi and back. I'm not going to go into the reasons why I decided to upgrade. I probably will make a video about that another day. There is a very good reason why I did it. But I want to talk today just about my experience that I had. So, like I said, it was my first time flying business class. Quite excited. My wife had no idea, and I mean that. I told her on the day, like when we were literally about to check in, and you can see that on my video. So what I liked about the flight, not just the flight, but the whole experience. I liked the fact that I had fast track access. So what that meant was that after you check in, you're able to go through the business class security and business class passport control. So basically, it's you're not really queuing up. You're just going straight through because there's not many people flying business class at Delhi, generally compared to people flying economy class, obviously. Now, I didn't know that at first. I was actually stood in a queue, like a general queue, and there was quite a few people. I just happened to see in the corner of my eye, like business class. So I thought, oh, I'm in the wrong. I said to my wife, we're in the wrong queue. So we went out the queue and went through into the business class line, and it was, like I say, no one there. So it was straight through security, straight through passport control. So, I know it's a small thing. It really is a small thing. I'm not saying that alone was worth paying the extra, whatever it was, 162 quid. Absolutely not. But it was nice. I don't like messing around in airports. I get quite stressed out. I just want to get through as quickly as possible. So I enjoyed that. And actually, when we got off the plane as well, we were given a voucher, like a fast track voucher, kind of like what you get at theme parks. If you go to Fort Park, you can pay extra for like a to get these vouchers to not to jump the queue basically. I should know. I used to work at Fort Park. Um, but look, we didn't actually have to use them because we were the first ones off the plane. Obviously, being in business class, we're at the front, and there were no other planes coming in at the time, so we were literally the first people into the passport control. So we didn't even need to use those fast track vouchers. Um, the next thing that I liked was, just remind myself. Ah, yeah, I did like this. It felt like I was on a private flight. So we were flying on a Airbus A320, and there are only one, two, three, four. How many? There are four rows of business class seats. So 60. Uh, yes. Um, so for 4 rows. Oh, I don't know. It's 16 seats, I believe. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Yeah, there were 16 business class seats, and there were only 4 people in business class. It was my wife and I, one other man, and there was a woman as well. Although her family were in economy class, I don't know whether she'd just been upgraded or what. Um, and of course, they closed the curtain between business class and economy class. So I don't know. It felt like I was on a private flight because every time I looked back behind me, I could only see the 3 rows behind me because I was sitting in the very front row. So I just had the 3 business class rows behind me. The curtain was closed, and there was no noise. It was really nice. It felt like I was kind of on a small plane, just a few rows, and no one disturbed me. Um, yeah, I like that feeling. I did like that. So I could go to the toilet at the front of the plane. There was no queue or anything. Um, yeah, just felt more private. Other small things that I liked, I suppose, a lot of space for your arms because it was just 2 seats, um, like per row kind of thing, or 2 seats on one side, 2 seats on the other. But like my wife was quite a long way from me. There was a big gap because there was a nice place to put your arm. So it was very spacious in that sense. And I was going to say something. I liked, well, see, this is kind of a positive and a negative. They give you an iPad for business class passengers on all flights over 3 hours. By the way, this is Air Astana. I don't think I even mentioned this. Yeah, it's flying on Air Astana from Delhi to Astana. So on Air Astana, they give you, like I just said, an iPad for flights of more than 3 hours, and it was useful because in economy class you don't get anything. There's like what do you call it? One screen that pops up if you look in front of you. Well, there's like one screen for every 4 rows, whatever it is. But there's nothing really. They might show a film on there. But you don't get to choose it. It's just whatever film they show. So having the iPad was nice because I watched the film. Can't remember. I think it was Meet the Fockers. Yeah, first time I've seen it. That I've seen it, and it just helped to pass time. But the reason I say that's a negative is that, to be honest, a decent airline like Air Astana on a flight of that length, 4.5 hours, I'd expect them to have screens anyway. They should have screens even in economy class, behind it, each headrest kind of thing. So yeah, it's good they give entertainment for business class passengers, but I think it should be there as standard, even for economy class. I'm sure there's lots of airlines in the world where you could get a flight for take a flight for 4.5 hours, and you'd certainly have in-flight entertainment in economy. Anyway, moving on to the things I didn't like. and this I kind of feel more strongly about. Um, the first one, which to be fair isn't related at all to the airline, Air Astana, it was the business class lounge. One thing in particular I didn't like in there. Um, First time being in a business class lounge, and it was the screens, the electronic screens that tell you when your flight's ready to board and all that. The problem was the screen was only showing the first page, so it was showing flights mainly that had already departed or flights that are about to take off. So my flight wasn't showing because it was a little bit further back. At first, it wasn't a problem, but as we got nearer boarding time, my boarding pass, whatever it was, like half an hour before the flight takes off, I sort of thought, okay, should we get going now? Because I knew it was a long walk from where we were, the business class lounge, to the gate, and it got to like the boarding time, and I hadn't been called or anything. I couldn't see the board because the board wasn't showing my flight. So I went to the bloke at the front, and he said, "Oh, don't worry, we'll call you." I said, "Okay, all right." So I went back to my seat. Um, and bearing in mind, it wasn't like this business class lounge. Had nothing to do with Air Astana. It was run by ITC Hotels. Um, it's like just a general lounge for a number of different airlines. Like British Airways were in there as well. Um, and bearing in mind, in my flight, there were only two other people flying business class. They, it wasn't like there was loads of us in there wondering what was happening. It was just me, my wife. She was calm. Um, so time was going by. It was like 10 minutes till takeoff. Honestly, 10 minutes till takeoff, and I'm still sitting in this bloody lounge, not having a clue what's going on. I started panicking. I'm a panicker. I'll admit that I'm a panicker. I thought by flying business class, I wouldn't panic at all. Everything would be nice and relaxed. Nothing showing on the screen. I went back to the bloke at the front. I said, "What's going on? Is the flight delayed? Can you give me some information?" No, he couldn't. He just told me, "Oh, just sit down and we'll call you when your flight's ready to board." I was really panicking at this time. I took my phone out. I tried to go on the website, the general, what do you call it? Indira Gandhi New Delhi Airport website to check the latest flights, but that wasn't any good. Basically, I couldn't get any information about my bloody flight. Um, and I just kept saying to myself, look, if we do miss it, then surely they're going to have to compensate us. It's not our fault. Um, and in the end, I just decided, I said, right, to my wife, let's just go. I don't know what's going on. We're going to have to just quickly make our way to the check-in, what do you call it, the gate, and see what's going on. I don't even know if the flight's still there or not. And just as we were getting up to go, um, he did actually say to us, I think he got a phone call through saying, yeah, they can board now. Um, so it was a long walk, like I say. The flight was delayed, it turned out. But as we were walking, we kept seeing screens. It said like last last call, like it flashes up in red. So I started to panic. I was like, quickly, we better get going quicker. And as we got to the gate, people were still boarding, so we were on time, I guess. But I didn't like that. Didn't like that at all. They should have had information on the boards. They should have been able to. They should have informed me that my flight was running late, especially as a business class passenger who's paying extra. Disappointed about that. Next thing I didn't like. This was on the plane itself. Um, Edison and I have got a good reputation for her providing good food in business class. How do I know that? Because I've watched other videos on YouTube that review business class on Air Astana. And it's a very nice menu, like the actual design of the menu, all very posh. Um, you get, well, I had a choice of four main meals. Now, I'll admit, I'm a fussy eater. I don't like dairy produce. Um, I don't like lamb. And what's on the bloody menu? Three of the bloody dishes, 3 out of 4 are are dairy. I think like a couple of them had cheese. Yeah, two of them had cheese. There was a vegetarian dish, which had cheese. It was an Indian dish with paneer, that kind of fried cheese, Indian cheese. Then there was a fish dish with cheese. Oh, and then, hang on, there were 3 dishes with cheese then. Because then there was the chicken dish, the chicken leg stuffed with cheese or something. And the only non-cheese dish there was lamb biryani. I don't like lamb. If it had been chicken biryani, brilliant, great. So I was really gutted about that because I was looking forward to the food. But I always knew, because I'm a fussy eater, I always knew there was a chance that I wasn't going to like um, things on the menu. Um, so when the stewardess came around to take our orders, I said I don't like anything. Is there anything you can do? And I ended up going for the salmon without the cheese sauce, or whatever sauce it was, some dairy sauce, because she said it was separate. She didn't, so she could do it without putting the sauce on. Now the problem was, I don't actually like salmon either. I don't particularly like fish that much, but if I do eat fish, I like it to be a white fish, not a pink fish. I don't like salmon. But look, I had to make do with it. I didn't eat it all. It was very nice. Like, I'm sure the quality was good. I'm not knocking the quality of the food. It's probably good quality. But if you don't particularly like salmon, it doesn't really matter how good the quality is. You're not really going to like it. There was some side dish as well. It was all right. It was like a fruit salad. It was nice. It was just that main course. It was really, for me, disappointing because when I flew from Almaty to Delhi, the outward flight in economy class, I had like a really nice chicken curry. Um, and even, funnily enough, on my next flight, no, I'm not going to talk about it because I haven't uploaded that video yet. But I had nicer food on a 1.5 hour domestic flight than what I had on that business class flight of 4.5 hours. So I found that really disappointing. Um, and the other thing, I just felt something was lacking. I don't know what. Maybe on a flight of that length, I know it's not a huge, flight in terms of length, 4.5 hours, mid-haul. I just thought maybe they could have offered something else, maybe some kind of snack after dinner. I don't know. I just had the feeling that something could have done with something a little bit more, just so I can get my money's worth. Um, but look, my overall review was that it was okay. It was the whole experience, of course, is much better than economy. Get nicer seats. Um, I think the leg room actually wasn't anything special at all. I know I was in the very front row, so I kind of had that kind of wall in front of me. Um, but still, of course, it's better than economy. Of course, it is. But was it worth the money? It's a really difficult question to answer because I think it depends on how much money you have, like how rich you are. Because for some people out there, £162 per person is nothing. So yeah, of course it's worth it. It depends. It's very hard to say. I think I'd say it's not worth it in terms of like when you compare it to the total cost of what I paid before the upgrade. So £180 for a return flight from Kazakhstan to India, and then adding on pretty much almost double that just for that small section for the upgrade. In that sense, no, it wasn't worth it. But still, I enjoyed my business class experience. And would I fly business class again? Definitely yes. I want to fly business class every single time I fly, to be honest. Again, I'll make a separate video on that at some point as to why that is and why I upgraded to business class, etc. Um, I have to understand that, of course, when you fly on an Airbus A320, you're not getting like one of those really amazing kind of suites you can get, on some of these Middle Eastern airlines, for example, when you fly on these, really, really long flights, 10-hour flights and whatnot, where you kind of get like a bed and whatnot. Yeah, I accept that on a flight, when you fly on a Boeing A320, it's going to be a bit limited as to what the kind of service, not the service, but kind of what the seats are like, maybe. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed the experience. Like I say, I felt a little bit shortchanged. I felt something was lacking. Didn't like the food, as I said. Annoyed about um, the screens at Delhi Airport. Not That's mainly, like I say, not. I'm not blaming Air Astana for that at all. But yeah, overall good, but was expecting a little bit better, to be honest. So guys, I'll stop talking now. So thank you for watching, and join me for my video next week, which will be my final flight of that whole journey that I took to India. Goodbye.